Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us today. A historic week up on Capitol Hill, up in Washington, D.C. President Trump making his return to the swamp after staying away for some time for probably all the right reasons. He was hunted for some time there by the Marxist Dems, but it seems that hunt now is coming to an end, as we heard Steve Bannon say the other day. The hunted are now about to do the hunting because enough is enough. I mean, President Trump has been politically persecuted since he came down that escalator in 2015. Every single person around him who has spoken out, persecuted as well. My boss, Lou Dobbs, canceled by the cowards at Fox News for speaking out against a stolen election. Tucker Carlson, the number one show in all of television, canceled off of television. Steve Bannon sent to prison. Peter Navarro sent to prison. The list goes on and on and on of these people who this corrupt Justice Department and woke media have demonized. And enough is enough. I think President Trump coming back to D.C. in January is going to change a lot. Some things that aren't changing, though, over in the Senate yesterday, John Thune elected majority leader in a secret ballot, of course, taking over for Senator Froghorn Leghorn Mitch McConnell. I mean, cut from the same cloth. We're really not going to get anything different there. And it's going to be very tough for President Trump dealing with that Senate, considering there's probably less than 20 MAGA senators in there right now. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And we're going to try to hold John Thune's feet to the fire that he changes his rhino ways and has a plan for President Trump and gets through President Trump's agenda because it's very important. Over on the House side, Mike Johnson, I told you guys yesterday that the conservatives were planning to mount a challenger to Mike Johnson. Apparently, they scrapped that theory that they were going to go ahead and pull forward with, and they're going to approach it a different way on how they're going to hold Mike Johnson's feet to the fire. I've said it many times before. You've heard Lou say it many times before on this show before he passed away. Mike Johnson has to get his job done, and he's got to get the ball rolling on day one and do it within weeks. We saw what Paul Ryan did to President Trump the first time around. By starting with healthcare and bringing that as the number one issue, wasting all the time in the world. And then before you knew it, they lost the House. President Trump was not able to get through as much as he would have liked to. So Mike Johnson's got to get his foot on the pedal to the metal. And if he makes any missteps, the conservatives in the House, they have a small majority. The conservatives in the House got to get him the hell out of there. Enough's enough. So as I said, President Trump was in D.C. meeting with Joe Biden. It looked cordial. You take a listen and see the little clip that they gave us from the meeting.
Well, Mr. President-elect and former President, thank you. Donald, congratulations.
Thank you.
And looking forward to having, like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. It's good. Welcome.
Thank you. And, thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So the meeting seemed to be a little bit cordial. I've always said this on this show. President Biden has no reason to hate President Trump. He's done absolutely nothing wrong to him. The report about his son and the laptop from hell was not a doing of President Trump. His son left the laptop at a store and then never picked it up or paid for it. So that had nothing to do with President Trump. President Biden has no reason to hate President Trump. Trump, on the other hand, has every reason to hate Biden, going after his political enemy. The list goes on and on. I don't have to rehearse it for you guys. You guys live it and hear it every single day on this show and everywhere else you guys listen to your media. Finally, Jack Smith is going to be wrapping up his investigation, as we all know, coming to an end very fastly. He is going to issue a report, however. Now, the cases are probably going to go ahead and get dropped over the next few weeks. But he's going to issue a final report, probably to smear President Trump's name and throw some mud over him a little bit more. But I don't think there's any possible way that they can do any more harm than they've already done to President Trump. So I want to bring in our guest today. He knows more about D.C. perhaps than anybody. A brilliant author. His name is Lee Smith. Like I said, brilliant author. Lee's got a new book out, folks. It's called Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. Folks, we recommend it to you highly. An absolute masterpiece by Lee. You can go ahead and get it at encounterbooks.com, wherever you buy your books, Amazon. Probably get shipped the next day. Lee, thank you so much for joining us on this fine day in America.
Hey, thank you, John. Yeah, it's a great week. Been a great couple weeks, and it's nice to share this time with you.
So I want to get started on first. You have a new brilliant piece out from Tablet Mag where you write all your pieces. Obama isn't going anywhere. Huh. You kind of scare me a little bit there, Lee.
Well, I'm less sanguine than most people.
Tell us what's going on with Barack Hussein.
Well, I mean, the piece points out, as many people have noted, I'm certainly not the first to note that Barack Obama has been there since 2016. It's highly abnormal. The only other person who did it was Woodrow Wilson, and he stayed because he was incapacitated midway through his second term with a stroke. Look, the reason that Barack Obama has stayed there is the reason that presidents leave Washington is to illustrate the fact that they are no longer involved in the political system. There's been the transfer of executive authority. Barack Obama stayed to illustrate precisely the opposite, that he is still heavily involved in politics. And in fact, as I show in the article and as I write extensively in the book, it's Barack Obama who's led the anti-Trump campaign since 2016. So I think it's imperative that he be driven out of Washington, symbolically. The most important thing is that his networks, his private and public sector networks, be dismantled, because there's already evidence that there's another part of this ongoing operation to destroy Donald Trump, and this time it's being run out of the Pentagon. So while I too celebrate, while I too am happy in all the different initiatives that Donald Trump has talked about, whether we're talking about going after the people who have pushed this disgusting trans agenda, or whether we're talking about the educational system. I mean, it's all incredibly inspiring and optimistic, and it's great, and I feel it just like everyone else. But I also think it's important to remember that there are other things going on. Look, the same people who've done the things to Donald Trump, Trump aides, and Trump supporters over the last 8 years, they're not going to walk away and now go like, well, okay, fair is fair. Right. We lost this election, so I guess we got to walk away with our tail in between our legs and figure out how to win an honest election come 2028. That's not going to happen. So this piece is a reminder not only of what they've done, but also it's a portrait of what is happening right now at the Department of Defense.
You mentioned 2028. I don't want to go down the weeds too far because I want to stay on this topic. But what a lot of people don't realize is the census that's coming up just 2 years after that, Lee, in 2030. And that's going to account for all those people who left deep blue New York and went down to Florida. And we've heard a Florida sheriff, his name slips my mind every time, who said pretty much, when you move down here from one of these deep blue states, keep your bullshit politics to yourself. Don't bring it down here. We saw President Trump's decisive victory in Florida show just that. So just looking ahead to 2030, states like California are going to lose electoral votes and members of Congress. States like New York are going to lose.
This is why opening the borders was important.
Absolutely.
Right. That's why they had to do it. They had to backfill all these places. People have left New York. People have left Maryland. People have left Massachusetts. People have left California. And so all these places, they don't want to lose their electoral votes, and they don't want to lose congressional seats.
Yep. And
so that's being backfilled now. And, and of course, the real dream is, as we've heard the Democrats say again and again, is to naturalize these people as soon as possible. Right. And get them on the voter rolls. So that's why the deportation operation is, and President Trump says this is his number one priority.
We're going to get to that because that's, one of perhaps the most important things that President Trump ran on. I mean, you look at the most Hispanic district in all of the United States, a place in Texas, President Trump winning it for the first time since the 1800s, a Republican holding it. So you look at things like that, people are in favor. And President Trump was not secretive about it. He says we're going to do the largest mass deportation that we've ever seen before. And he won the popular vote. So that's what people want. We now see people like Mayor Eric Adams saying they're more open to work with President Trump and so forth. We're going to get into that because I want to take a whole segment on that. But I want to go back to these career people that you were talking about. One of President Trump's advisors in his transition, Mark Paoletta, said that these DOJ folks in particular, now we have them in the Pentagon. Those are probably perhaps some of the worst folks in the world, are going to try to stifle and stop President Trump at every single turn that they possibly can. Yeah. What can President Trump do on his first day? Now, some people are saying that Pete Hegseth wasn't the best pick for the Pentagon. Okay, maybe his background is, not the best pick for the job, but the fact, Lee, that he's never worked and lived in D.C. In his life means he's the perfect pick for the job.
Well, both, the Pentagon is the biggest bureaucracy in the world. DHS is extremely large. And so there are two people who are coming in who've never run very big bureaucracies before, but I'm confident that they can surround themselves with people who've done that kind of work. And, so that's what's really important. And it's tough managing those bureaucracies. But again, I'm sure that newly nominated Pete Hegseth and Governor Noem can both surround themselves with very talented people who are capable of doing that. Look, the most important appointment that the president is going to make, however, is going to be Attorney General.
Yes.
Because it's very important that the Attorney General go in there and clean up the DOJ, and it has to be someone, frankly, who does not love the institution. Right. A lot of people love that institution, and some of them want to protect it, and some of them are sentimental. And they say, well, I want to return this great institution back to its former glory. No, we don't want anyone who loves the institution. We want someone who's going to wreak vengeance, in fact, on the institution for what it's done to the American people. So it has to be someone who's going to get in a small, dedicated cadre, 15 to 20 lawyers who are going to go in there, and they're going to start getting rid of people, hundreds of people at the Department of Justice. It's also going to mean appointing U.S. attorneys around the country who are capable of doing the work, implementing it. That's not implementing Donald Trump's agenda. It's restoring rule of law to America. So that's the most important thing. Yep. And if they don't get the right person as Attorney General, nothing is going to happen. He's not going to be able to clean up any part of the bureaucracy, not the FBI, not the CIA, not the Pentagon, because they're going to be tied down by lawyers. And look, it's going to be everything. It's going to be the trans thing that Trump wants to fight. It's going to be education. Yep. So if they don't get the lawyers in there to fight Donald Trump's fight to reset America, it's going to be a problem. So that's the key appointment.
Now, Lee, as I was telling you before the show, I respect your opinion. Perhaps top of my list of people I respect. I've known you for some time now, and I know you're a great guy with a great deal of integrity. If you have President Trump's ear right now, give me a name. Who do you think now should be that job? Now, I argue it. There's another key position that's just as important with the CIA, and I was very disappointed to see that our friend Kash Patel didn't get that job because I think he's top of the list and cream of the crop. John Ratcliffe in there, I'm a little nervous about. I got to be honest with you.
I think Ratcliffe is a really good guy. He did great job as Director of National Intelligence. He's very professional. I mean, but they kind of. They all kind of worked as a team. First one acting director Grinnell, and then Kash is his deputy. They declassified all that information. Sure. Then Ratcliffe did the same. So I'm confident that, that Ratcliffe will do a terrific job as CIA director. And of course, Kash is a dear friend, and I love him, and I'm sure he's going to get a very important post in the Trump administration. He's a hard-charging character. And Kash appears, by the way, I should say, in Disappearing the President. Kash is a character in all of my books now. I think there will probably be no book that I can write without Kash appearing in it somehow.
Who's your pick for AG? If you had to pick,
there's a number of impressive people. There are people who have worked at the Department of Justice, and they know how it goes, and that includes people like Jeff Clark. There's other people around. I mean, Senator Ted Cruz, I think, would be a terrific pick. The Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton. So there's a lot of really good people out there whose names are being tossed about. And so there's a lot of great people for the President-elect Trump to pick from, and I'm confident that'll make the impressive choice. Really, that it's so important to restore the rule of law and really aggressively clean out that place. It's what America needs.
Each one of those names will do a far better job than Merrick Garland's done, Bill Barr has done. I think any of those people are a great choice, along with a few others that are also on the long list of names. We're going to take a quick break here. We're talking with Lee Smith, a brilliant author. Folks, as I told you all, we recommend Lee's book to you highly, Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. You can go ahead and get that book, encounterbooks.com, or wherever you guys buy your books. Go ahead and grab a copy. Christmas is around the corner. If you want to teach a liberal or piss off some people, just tell the truth. Go out and buy Lee's book. We're coming right back with Lee Smith. Stay with us.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen-size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
We're back. We're talking with brilliant author Lee Smith. Folks, once again, I recommend it to you guys highly. Lee's new book, Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. Wherever you get your books, Amazon.com, EncounterBooks.com. Go ahead and pick up a copy for you or a family member. Christmas is around the corner. Lee, this week, John Thune elected majority leader of the Senate. It hurts my stomach saying it. Disgusting that the Republicans slipped through the secret ballot. How big of a challenge is this to President Trump and his agenda?
Well, I mean, Donald Trump now has, the Republicans now have the White House, they have the Senate, they have Congress. I mean, look, I understand why people are concerned about Thune, and maybe he will turn out to be a real problem. But also, I think that these guys have to keep in mind that they're under very close scrutiny right now. And so I think that people in the Senate on the Republican side who are going to try to obstruct Trump's agenda are going to find themselves in trouble. Right. I mean, these guys have to run for office, too. And if it becomes notorious that they're fighting Donald Trump, there's lots of people who are willing to fund primaries against opponents of Donald Trump from the right. So I'm a little less concerned about that than other people are, though. I mean, I certainly appreciate what Senator Rick Scott has done. And so it's too bad. It's a little bit of a disappointment. But again, I encourage people to really focus on all the different instruments that Donald Trump has at hand. It's his show, right? Yeah. So it's really up to him and to keep people in line. And again, I'm confident he can do that.
The issue I see with that, and I take what you're saying, the issue I see with that is you've probably got, like I said in my monologue, maybe 20 true MAGA senators, right, who have your back. So you've got 100 senators, you've got 20 of them are MAGA, 50 or so are Democrats. It leaves you with a very slim margin to get through. Whereas in the House, which I want to turn to now, Mike Johnson, House is probably going to the Republicans, 99% chance it goes to the Republicans. It's just a matter of if it's 1 seat, 2 seats, or 5 seats, looking like it's probably going to be 4 or 5 seats. Nonetheless, Mike Johnson, we've seen nothing from him, Lee, in the last since he took office in January or February, whatever it was. We've seen nothing from him that indicates that he's going to do a good job.
Well, I would keep in mind that he had a very. I mean, I'm not advocating for Mike Johnson. Just like I didn't advocate for Kevin McCarthy. Sure. But right now, Speaker Johnson has an awfully small margin, and that doesn't help. It's not like they can just rubber stamp stuff and just shove it down the throat of Democrats. So that's not easy. But again, the important thing I think to keep in mind is that is that the Republicans now have the White House, the Senate, and the House. That's a very big deal. So there should be very little standing in the way of the most central parts of Donald Trump's agenda. And again, it's to really restore America, right? After all the craziness we've seen, you see Donald Trump on video talking about look, we're going to fight this trans agenda. We're going to totally undo this. It's like, yeah, that's good. because we're a normal country. And this has been a terrible thing. It's not just a freak show, right? With Rachel Levine, with Rachel Levine over at HHS. But I mean, it's also the harm that have been done to children, the harm that have been done to families with both the trans agenda and the DEI agenda, the CRT agenda. It's really destructive. So are Republicans going to get in the way of Trump fighting the trans agenda? Yeah, I don't think so. Are they going to get in the way of him fighting CRT and DEI? I doubt it, because that'll go on their record. So what are they going to be fighting?
Tax cuts, Lee. So you got the New York Rhino delegation, as I call them, and you got two that lost. D'Esposito, who hired his fiance's kid, and then his girlfriend's side piece, whatever. He's out of there. Mark Molinaro, another Rhino Trump hater, out of there. They're Republicans. They lost. They're Rhinos. In my opinion, it's the same thing as having a Democrat there in the first place. We shouldn't be propping these people up. Now, it's 2 seats lost, but at the end of the day, they're Rhinos. 2 of those folks gone. When it comes to tax cuts, the New York Rhino Squad have a problem with the SALT tax deduction, which hurts big blue cities like New York City with certain write-offs and stuff like that. So I think he's going to maybe run into a little issue because his tax cuts expire now in 2025. He's going to have to get that through. Most of the Rhinos who went against him in the first, terms, the Liz Cheneys, the Bacons, all those folks most of them are gone, lost their seats. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a more smooth sailing. But at the end of the day, Lee, it's up to Mike Johnson. He's the one who calls the agenda. Him and President Trump speak on their first day, and Trump goes to Mike Johnson. What are we doing first? Because Mike Johnson knows the House. President Trump doesn't know all the intricacies of that, and no president does unless you were serving there.
I think that Donald Trump, even on the sidelines, was doing a very good job. And Donald Trump understands that Speaker Johnson is at a very narrow margin. He understood the same about Kevin McCarthy as well. I mean, it wasn't Donald Trump who wanted to, who sought to undermine all these guys and torpedo them.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's true.
He understands. He understands what it's like, and I'm sure that he'll work very well with Speaker Johnson and empower him in different ways that he can.
Yeah, and I pray to God that he holds his feet to the fire, because what we saw with the past administration.
I mean, I don't know if it's really about holding his feet to the fire. I just think it's saying, look, here's the way it's going down. I'm the president. You're the Speaker of the House. I respect your position, but here's the way it's going to go, and here's how I can help you. I mean, it's politics, right? Yeah. The president should be speaking with the Speaker of the House and figuring out a way forward for Republicans. They shouldn't be fighting. Will they have disagreements on stuff? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I like you say, not to the feet to the fire, but we've got to be on a strict timeline here, Lee. 2 years of Congress is a very short time to get through what President Trump wants to get through. Deportations is another big one. I want to take a quick break here, and I want to take that up on the other side of this break on where we go from here and how we deport these folks that President Trump told us about. Folks, the book is Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. Amazon.com and counterbooks.com. Go ahead and get your copy. Get a copy for a friend, family member. Christmas is around the corner. Stay with us. We're coming right back with Lee Smith.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
We're back, folks. We're talking with brilliant author Lee Smith, a true conservative, a MAGA man from the beginning, doing a great job. Folks, the book is Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. I can't stress it enough. Go ahead and get a copy. Lee, deportations, Tom Homan, borders are. I don't think there's a better pick for the job. I think it's President Trump's best pick so far for any of his positions, cabinet and non-cabinet. How do we get it done?
Well, I mean, I think that President Trump, President-elect Trump, and Mr. Hellman have a pretty good plan, and I think they can get it through. But remember, this is something that the Democrats have to fight, right? And this is what's happening at the Pentagon, right? Insofar as Trump said that he may use the military to implement part of his deportation program. This is one of the pretexts that the Pentagon is going to use to fight Trump. Right. And really perhaps destabilize the country in different ways. But remember the tens of millions of illegals that the Biden administration ushered in over the last 3.5 years. Right. This is the future of the Democratic Party. Without them, they're not going to come close in any national election. Right. That what we're going to look at is the Trump's landslide this year will be a foretaste of future disasters for the Democrats. Right. Yeah. They won't even be able to marshal as many electoral votes as Kamala Harris got. It's just going to get worse and worse. And again, they're going to lose power in the Northeast and in coastal cities in the West. Yeah. So they have to fight this. They can't let Trump's program be implemented. So that's one of the things that we'll be looking for, right? How the and they're going to be very hard, and I think that it's going to get very, very nasty. And that's what I'm advising people to keep an eye out. The different operations that have been targeting Trump and Trump aides over the last several years. I think that we're going to see an awful lot of that right now. And at the core of this is going to be the deportation program. That's what they're zeroing in on. They have to.
Yeah. I had spoken to Sheriff Mark Lamb yesterday, and the issue that I see happening is somehow the Supreme Court's going to come in and get their feet in this. It's something they have nothing to do with, like DACA, which they did have something to do with and couldn't make a damn decision. Stuck up in the courts for years, and I'm just worried that these deportations are going to get somehow stuck up in the Supreme Court, and we're never going to see them happen. And
well, that's why you need a real attorney general. That's why you need someone. I mean, you need people to fight these fights. Yeah, and I think it helps that he's got it seems like Eric Adams is on the side of President Trump now. It's probably because he's under federal indictment, but nonetheless, it is what it is. He's open now to letting President Trump come into New York, where we're harboring, they say 500,000 here, Lee. I think it's probably well over 1 million illegals, a lot of them gang members. You look out on Long Island, MSNBC, MS-13, Tren de Agua, MS-13 NBC. Yeah.
But I mean, they've taken over the city, Lee. I try to stay out of Manhattan as much as I can. It's just an absolute shithole, as President Trump would say about some places, because it's just a dangerous place, and it's like we've never seen before. So with guys like Eric Adams, we now find out that Mayor Muriel Bowser of D.C. wants to meet with President Trump as well. Do you think these folks who now all of a sudden want to play Kumbaya, sing Kumbaya, are genuine in it, or is it just another?
Well, I think Mayor Bowser has a lot of trouble. I mean, yes, of course, Eric Adams does too. But look at what's happened in Washington D.C. Since the Biden administration took over. I mean, people aren't going into work in the federal agencies, right? What does that mean? That means that people aren't going into restaurants. They're not going into bars. It means that commercial real estate in Washington is crashing. So at the very least, Mayor Bowser needs the president to say, please make people go back to work, right? Make America work again. So, so that's a very important thing, because Washington is in an awful lot of trouble in that way. Commercial real estate crashing. I mean, it's a disaster. So yes, I think that someone like Mayor Bowser definitely is eager to work with Donald Trump. And Mayor Bowser is not the problem, as far as I can tell, in Washington, D.C., where I lived for many years. The problem at the top of the list of problems is the city council. Just a progressive fringe city council. So, Mayor Bowser is responsible for running the city, and she's relatively responsible mayor.
Responsible. We saw that on January 6th. All right. Before we wrap up here, I want to get to two things: Jack Smith and Elon Musk. We'll start with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Probably not wanting cabinet positions because they don't want to give up their private lives of making money, which is completely understandable. But they do want to make an impact on the Trump agenda and on America. Both being selected to run the Doge program, the Department of government efficiency. Dogecoin, obviously, Elon Musk's project. Brilliant, man. What do you think those two folks are going to be able to get done in the government?
I mean, I think it's good to look at the bureaucracy and the problems with the bureaucracy and budgets like that. It's an awful lot of work, and you have to have the people who are, I mean, again, when we talk about Pete Hegseth heading the Pentagon or Kristi Noem heading DHS, I mean, those are two enormous budgets right there. So what happens? Do they collaborate? Elon Musk talks to, Pete Hegseth and say, here's the kind of overrun, the cost overrun problems you have at the Pentagon, and here's how I think you can solve them. So I don't know exactly how they work that out, but that's actually an enormous problem. As far as cutting the federal bureaucracy itself, I think it's important for everyone to remember going in that the 2.2 million federal workers, right? Most of these are not the people, not like Andrew McCabe, Duke University Law School grads, right? They're single moms from Prince George's County. And so there's going to be a lot of noise if you just start cutting them loose. Right. And I'm sure that, in time they'll find out the dangers and what are the positive contributions they can make to the country.
Yeah, the Elon thing is actually brilliant to me. Every picture I see, it's like Elon's part of the family now. I saw him at MSG with Trump with his little kid and his mom. And it's just the meshing they have between the Trump family. It seems very genuine. And that's what President Trump needs. He needs a warrior by his side. It just so happens, Lee, it's the smartest man in the world and it's the richest man in the world. Good. So it's beneficial on that. I want to conclude with Jack Smith, as Lou called him, the junkyard jackal, special counsel. Obviously being fired. President Trump telling him, get your ass out of here. But he's wrapping up now before the end of the year, probably ending all the cases against President Trump. There were no cases. It's lawfare, as we all know. But he's going to file a report, Lee. What is he going to tell us all?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, frankly, if I were him, I would just go. I would type up some notes and say, so here's what we did, and here's what we did. I'd keep it short and sweet and get out of town. And I don't think that Donald Trump is going to be hunting Jack Smith. Yeah. Jack Smith is not a great guy, but it's not Jack Smith it's not Jack Smith who pulled the trigger, right? This was Joe Biden and Merrick Garland. I'm very happy that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are exchanging laughs and pleasantries with each other, but it's not Jack Smith who decided to pull the trigger.
Lee, at the end of the day, though, it cost $50 million. That's $50 million that could have went to somebody.
What are they going to do? Bill Jack Smith for it? I mean, it's terrible. Jack Smith was a weapon. It's not him. It's Garland and Biden. That's what it is.
No, I'm not saying it from the standpoint of billing somebody. I'm saying it from the standpoint of the American people opening their eyes and seeing the Mueller report cost $30 million. Yeah. This cost $50 million.
My opinion going in, and I'm not saying it's a controversial opinion. I think that all the talk about going after bureaucrats and the deep state and this and that, it's a waste of time. And that's why I wrote that article about Barack Obama, because I said, look, if Donald Trump is going to spend 4 years targeting bureaucrats in the deep state, this 4 years is going to go by very, very quickly. The concern is not Jack Smith. It's not the Vindman twins. It's not Peter Strzok and Lisa as Paramore, Lisa Page. The problem is the guys at the very top, Barack Obama. That's the one who led the anti-Trump campaign for 8 years. That has to be addressed. Yeah. Again, if they're just going to go shooting at bureaucrats, it's going to be a total waste of time. It's not the bureaucrats. It's Barack Obama and the people around Barack Obama. And if you look, will some of the public enjoy the entertainment? Yeah, let's go after Jack Smith and stuff like. Yeah, but it's still going to be a waste of time. And no one's going to learn a lesson from it because the guys on top are still protected. You have to go after the chiefs, right? Ask Rudy Giuliani how to prosecute a RICO case, right? How that goes down. What did the left do the last 8 years? They went after Donald Trump. Everyone they targeted, whether it was Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, everyone they went after was to get at Trump. So again, the idea that now we're going to look at these lower lights and go like, yeah, let's get them. Why? So
I look at it from the standpoint of people's lives who have been ruined, namely Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, who, are paying consequences for things that they did absolutely nothing wrong about. So it hurts a lot of us, and I think a lot of Americans, that we're going to see these folks, these 51 intel chiefs,
Right,
Lee, who are still getting security briefings, who still have a national security.
John Brennan still has a security clearance.
Right.
And Donald Trump should have taken that away in his first term, as he said he was going to.
Right.
So that's something we'd like to see him follow through here. John, the fundamental point I'm making, though, if it's just going to be tit for tat, right, this 4 years is going to go by very quickly, and we'll wind up in the exact same place, because the leadership always must pay the price, right? To quote the late, great Angelo Codevilla, like, this is why you shoot at the other side's officers. If you're just going to take their pawns off the board, the pawns are going to be put back on the board very, very quickly. This is why William Barr is responsible for what happened in 2020, because no one paid the price for 2016. Yeah. That's why. Yeah. It was William Barr who was accountable. It's not all the hundreds or thousands of corrupt little bureaucrats and white collar workers in Washington, D.C. Are they corrupt? Are they rotten? Absolutely. Should they pay a price? Definitely. But if you want to stop it, you have to go after the top. That's it. No question.
I think President Trump needs to pick up the phone and give Lee Smith a call. If any of his people are watching, I can give you Lee's number, which I'm probably sure he already has it. Lee, once again, the book, folks, is Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. We recommend it to you all very highly. Go ahead and get a copy. Lee Smith, you're a great American. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Thank you, John. God bless you, man. Talk to you soon.
Thanks to Lee Smith, and thank you all, folks, for being with us today. Once again, I can't stress it enough. Lee's book, terrific book. All of Lee's books, I've read every single one of them that he's put out since 2016. All must reads if you're into this whole deep state and going after Trump thing, which I think if you're here listening to me today, you probably are. Thanks, everybody, for being with us today. We're going to see you right back here tomorrow, I hope, right here for the Great America Show, as our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Folks, we're on Instagram. You can follow us at The Great America Show. You can also follow me on Twitter at John Fawcett NY, or on Truth Social at John Fawcett. Like I said, folks, I hope we'll see you right back here tomorrow, same time, same place, for the Great America Show. May God bless you. May God bless America. And may God bless my best friend, the great Lou Dobbs, who's smiling down from heaven right now, witnessing what's happening and the return of President Trump. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.